All right, so this class is called Developing Habits. I probably should have specified good habits, not bad habits. Um, Before we get started, do we have any prayer requests? Anything that was on our minds? And Dad, can I get you to lead prayer this morning? Thank you. Okay. Okay. Tommy's not feeling good. Any other prayer requests we can think of that we need this morning? Yeah. What do we have coming up? Well, obviously, lectureship next weekend. Uh, Pray for that being a success and something that is gonna gonna enrich us. So that is something. Yeah. Cool. All right. Anything else? All right. Go ahead. Amen. All right, so yes, as I said, this class is developing habits. It's fitting into our first kind of base lesson, aside from the introduction for our uh, spiritual fitness quarter, which I mean I think it's a great quarter. It's practical. A lot of the stuff in this quarter is very practical. It's very, I mean, it's just useful. And this is a good lesson to kind of kickstart this idea of being spiritually fit or gaining spiritual fitness. And one of the first things, I mean, with anything, it is developing habits. Again, of course, good habits, not bad habits. So I have a question that I kind of want us to get started with. Whenever you think of motivated people, who comes to your mind? Or what type of people, maybe a specific career, job, or I don't know, some maybe athletes or something. Who specifically comes to your mind, if anything? Think about that for a second. Thinking of motivated people. Yeah. Okay, describe what that is like. What he's like. Okay. How so? What does he do? Yeah. 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 Okay. All right. What else? Or who else? Yeah. Okay. You have any examples? Yeah. Yeah. No. Absolutely. Yeah. 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 I mean, softball answer right there. Dana. I was thinking of Tom Brady. His workout routine is nuts. It's really annoying. It's really annoying what he does. Who else? Anybody else? I'm prone to think of athletes. I definitely think athletes because, you think of who, or I guess, or of what they need to accomplish, especially professional athletes. Again, Tom Brady, Michael Jordan, all these people that want to be the best, the best at what they do. And when I think of Tom Brady, Michael Jordan, they are the best at what they do. I mean, you could make arguments. I understand that, but you think of these specific athletes, they are the way they are for reasons. And one of the biggest contributing factors of their success doing what they do is their absolute insane, kind of annoying determination, their motivation. Again, I say annoying because I'm often pretty jealous. So I want to include this up here. Whenever I think of motivation, this is what I think of. I found that picture. I thought that face was hilarious, so I had to include that picture. This is not me, obviously. This is not me. But I am somewhat jealous of that. There's a I guess, I don't know what, just a subset of people called gym bros, especially people my age will talk about. Guys that devote their constant time to the gym. They wake up, do whatever they need to do, go to work, and then they immediately come home from work and just spend time at the gym. Gym bros. That's all they do is just spend time at the gym. And while sometimes maybe, to me that seems silly. I'm like, why don't you just go enjoy yourself? Why don't you do something that's fun? Well, maybe to them, in some strange way, that's fun. And there's also something in me that is, like I said a minute ago, a little jealous. Because I see what they're able to accomplish, physically. I'm like, wish that was me. And then, especially their mindset as well. Their determined mindset, their focused mentality. In some ways, I'm a little jealous at that. And so when I think of motivation, I think of somebody like this. So to kind of segue into what I want to talk about, I also want to include another question. This is going to get us closer to what I want us to talk about this morning. What's made people like that person I just showed? What's made people like him so motivated? Why do they do what they do? What do we think? It's just general health, okay? Yeah. They have a goal, okay? Oh, just they are wanting to get better? Okay, yeah. Yeah. Sure. Yeah. Yeah. It's something they grew up around. What else? Why do people like that do what they do? They want to. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that's really it. Like I said, I'm jealous of those kind of guys sometimes because I'm like, somewhere I want to do that too, but I can never quite get over maybe I should get a gym membership, and then I'll go, nah, I'm good. It's getting over that like initial hump, I guess, which we'll talk about. So what's made people like him so motivated? Why do they do what they do? Well, they want to do it. Okay. Again, maybe there's an underlying health benefit. Maybe they are just naturally healthy people. Maybe they've grown up around that, so they're used to seeing people that are determined and focused and motivated. Or something as simple as, like I said, they just want to do it. Okay. As Christians, we've got to show the same level of determination to grow. And really, that's what this morning is going to be about. We do this by developing strong, consistent habits, okay? And again, that's what we're going to talk about this morning. We're going to go through several different things that we can do, different steps of things that we can do to become more habitual in our growth as Christians. So that's what we're going to focus on this morning. Any thoughts, any questions before I move on? Okay. So step one, like was said just a minute ago, you got to want to do something. So there's got to be an underlying desire to want to grow. So first things first, motivation starts within. Okay, if you want to become, again, if you want to grow as a Christian, if you want to become stronger in your faith, first things first, you have to want to. You have to recognize the importance. You have to recognize what's at stake. I mean, you've got to recognize how deeply critical it is that you do grow in your faith. So motivation has got to start within. And I really like this. If you start half-heartedly, you'll never make it to the success point. I think, especially this upcoming weekend, this could be, maybe for some of us, it could be a good starting point. Maybe this upcoming weekend, this lectureship is a good starting point for us to go, I've got to take my faith a bit more seriously. It can be that point of encouragement. But again, if you want to get better, you've got to want to. There's got to be some intrinsic desire. And so this made me think, I think we all desire to grow as Christians. Like, I don't think any of us sitting here this morning I don't think anybody sitting here this morning is thinking, I'd rather not grow. I'd rather stay pretty stagnant, actually. That would be nice. No, I think we all, at least somewhere, want to grow as Christians. So then, my question is, what gets in the way? What sometimes, it doesn't have to be you specifically, just for us as Christians, what can get in the way of that growth? Yeah. We don't feel like it that day. Yeah. Too busy. Yeah. Life. Yeah. What else? Yeah. Yep. Rather take the easy way out and just kind of coast. And by the way, just because I'm standing up here teaching, this lesson is directly aimed at me. So when I was making it, and I was like, yep, that's me. So this, again, just because I'm standing up here teaching doesn't mean that I have all of this figured out. This is absolutely not something I have fully figured out. But again, what else gets in the way? Life, busyness, it takes work. What else?
Maybe pride.
How so?
I don't think I need to change.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I attend services. I'm good. Yeah. Like what? What do you mean? Okay. Yeah, maybe you're thinking, I think I need to start this way, or I need to wait until this point, or I need to wait until this point, or I need to wait until this is figured out. Anybody else?
Selfishness.
How so?
You have to want to grow. You have to want to change. You have to want to change who you are.
Yeah.
You don't want to. You think you're fine. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, there's a lot that can get in the way. Again, the things that are probably more universally dealt with amongst us is probably just life stuff. Especially for those of us that are younger, on the younger end of this age group. We're going through a lot of new stuff. Whether it's new relationships, new careers, schooling, whatever it is. There's a lot of new stuff. That doesn't go away. Life. The I don't want to call it an excuse, I guess, but the reasoning of life stuff, life happens, things like that, that doesn't go away. But coming from my perspective as one of the younger, on the younger end, life is so busy at this age. Again, maybe some of you who are around my age would agree, and life is just so busy, and there's so many new things and so many overwhelming challenges that sometimes it's like, wait a minute, where's my priority? Where are my priorities? And again, that doesn't go away with age. That does not go away with age. Any other thoughts? Questions? Yeah. Yeah.
In that case, we can develop things in Christ, but
Sure.
we don't trust him enough to do that.
Yeah. Yeah. One of the at the school that I teach at, we have these like statements that we make kids think about a lot. Different characteristics that we want students to emulate. And one of those characteristics is being a positive risk taker, is what we call it. Being a positive risk, there's stuff like perseverance and being reflective, things like that. One of them is positive risk taker. And we always tell kids that, like, look, it may seem, stupid to raise a hand in a class and ask for a question because you don't want to look like a moron. But look, for all you know, raising your hand and taking that positive risk is something that's going to benefit everybody else. And I think the same thing, I think we sometimes follow that similar path as Christians. Man, that looks hard. I don't want to do that. That looks like too big of a risk. Well, that's going to grow you. That's going to make you better. Just because it's challenging, just because growing as a Christian, taking the steps to become better, just because it seems challenging, well, it's going to ultimately work out for you. It's going to ultimately be something that's positive. Anything else? So with each step, I've included a statement, a verse, something that I think goes along with this. And for this, I chose, if it'll show up for me, Psalm 63, verse 1, "You, God, are my God. Earnestly I seek you. I thirst for you. My whole being longs for you in a dry and parched land where there is no water." This is, without a doubt, one of the best pieces of Scripture that show absolute desire. Thirsting, seeking, longing. That is ultimately where we should be as Christians. Okay? Step one has got to be desire. If we want to grow, if we want to be better as Christians, we've got to want to. We've got to be seeking God. We need to be thirsting God as if we were in a land where there is no water. That's where we've got to start. We have to know why we need to do this. We have to know why we would want to grow. So step one is absolutely desire. Any other thoughts, questions before I move on to step two? All right, so step two is decisions. Step two is decisions. You've got to make the decision. Okay, I have to make the decision to grow. Begin now and don't procrastinate. I have never procrastinated ever. I never do that ever. So I obviously have the ultimate authority about not procrastinating because I never have and I probably never will. That's false. I am the worst procrastinator. So much easier to not do it now and just save it for later, right? It'll still be there next week. Friday. Man, I'm sitting in my desk at work and I'm like, I should probably take care of this. And then I go, nah, I'll just take care of it Monday. Guess what I don't do on Monday? That thing. So when it comes to growing, just start now. This kind of goes back to what was said earlier. I think we sometimes want to wait until we're at a certain point in life to start growing as Christians. Get rid of that idea. Get rid of that mindset. Start now. Don't procrastinate. And this is an interesting idea. One of these days might never get here. Like people, and myself included, will sometimes say, I'll get better one of these days. I'm young right now, whatever. No, you're not guaranteed that. You're not guaranteed one of these days. So when it comes to growing, when it comes to being better as a Christian, just start. Find something. You don't have to, again, like I said a minute, you don't have to have everything figured out. You don't have to know everything about everything. You can just start somehow right now. You have to have a starting point, so decide when that is. Make it now. Any thoughts, questions, comments about this? Yes?
I feel it comes also for a heart issue. Because we know we have desires of things.
Yeah.
And we'll put everything into that. So is God really at the top of that list?
Right.
And also, I was just finished Matthew, and I was thinking, back just like you said.
Mm-hmm.
Because when Christ comes back, we're like, might not have done those things.
Yeah.
Same thing,
Mm-hmm.
It just seems that, what gets in the way is this stuff
Yeah.
that we're encased in.
Yeah.
That's the real thing.
Yeah.
It's constantly
Yeah.
a battle.
Yeah.
All the time.
Yeah.
I,
Yeah.
I like your one of these days point, because when you think about this whole concept of developing habits, procrastination can become your habit. That's just what you do.
Yeah. You put stuff off. Yeah.
And it becomes, that becomes habitual.
Right. Right.
I think what kind of this, especially starting, I know, especially while most people procrastinate, I guess some people
Yes.
they struggle to start.
Yeah.
I think that I have helped
Yeah.
to build a habit. You have to
Right.
so it's better to start small and read the Bible 10 minutes a day.
Sure.
Consistent with that instead of saying I'm going to read the Bible an hour a day.
Yeah.
That's not how you.
No. I mean, like that's what I'm trying to communicate with this is like, you don't have to start growing as a Christian with some like profound, like spiritual act. Like just start with something. Like start reading a verse a day, 2 verses a day, a chapter a day. Just start somewhere. Like pick something to start with and start doing that thing. And I think that's where we can get hung up is maybe we think that, again, we need to have something figured out or be at some point in our lives, then I'll start growing as a Christian. No, just start with something. Like make the decision. I have a couple quotes here. Come on. It's the job that's never started that takes longest to finish. Jared Tolkien, The Philosopher of the Ring. I had to include something for Lord of the Rings in here. But that's so good. I mean, it's the job that's never started that takes longest to finish. I mean, and I should have this somewhere at my desk, I mean at work, so that I can look at it and go, yeah, that's true. I mean, the more I put things off, the longer it's going to, that's what I tell students sometimes. I'm like, you can choose to not do the work now, but it'll always be there. Like, it's not going anywhere. You still have to do it at some point. And I don't think they believe me. But in terms of growing as a Christian, you've just got to pick a point to start. Ecclesiastes 11 verse 4 says, whoever watches the wind will not plant. Whoever looks at the clouds will not reap. If you don't just make the decision to do something, nothing's ever going to get done. Okay, nothing's ever going to get done. So again, step 2 is just decision making. Decide to do something now. I mean, as soon as you get home, decide on something to read. Open your Bible somewhere, start reading, get that knowledge, do something. Okay, so that's simply where you can start. Any other questions or thoughts before I move on? Yeah.
That goes hand in hand with fear of failure.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's the enormity of a task.
Yeah.
I used to work in the restoration business, and we'd go
Yeah.
floods and stuff like that. You walk up to a house that's a big mansion, it's got 12 rooms flooded out. You can walk in and just say,
Whoa. Yeah. Yeah.
how are we ever going to do it? Well, like the adage, how do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. You just have to make a decision to get going.
Yeah. Just got to start. And again, I just want to reiterate, like, if you want to start growing, you don't have to start with some profound, with a mansion, you can't do every room at once. It's physically impossible. Take that same idea growing as a Christian. You can't start in every room. You got to start one at a time. Okay, step 3, declaration. Step 3, declaration. Growing as a Christian, declaration. Share your intentions out loud. Make a statement, okay? Now, you don't have to, be in some, I'm deciding to grow. I mean, you don't have to shout it out. I mean, you can. I mean, nobody's stopping you, but you don't have to. Someone's saying you have to do that, okay? It's powerful if you want to put your commitment in writing. Like, that's something that you could do. Somewhere where you can revisit it. The whole classic example, what I always think is like the teen camp example, is writing something on a little piece of paper, putting it on your mirror. Maybe it sounds cheesy, but that is very, or put something, frame something, put something at your desk at work, some sort of statement that you can revisit often that tells you, I am taking this seriously. I am taking this seriously. I am committed to growing. I'm not just going to sit here and, let things happen around me. I saw a quote recently. It was accredited to Leonardo da Vinci, and I'm like, I don't think he said that. It was, don't be, I'm misquoting it somewhat, but it was don't be someone who lets things happen to you, be someone that happens to things. And I thought that was really cool. Like, have something somewhere that tells you, I'm taking this seriously. In short, hold yourself accountable. You can do that in a written statement. Again, you don't have to, I think of Michael Scott, I declare bankruptcy. That's what I always think of. You don't have to do that. You don't have to go out and shout something somewhere. Having a written statement of commitment, of declaration, is also very, it can be something that reinforces that you're taking it seriously.
One of his lessons that I was able to listen to because I didn't have my kids, and my favorite lesson is, we're not in this alone. We are in this together. And having someone else that helps you hold you accountable is like, it's great. Like, I was having a hard time studying my Bible because I have kids, I have life. It's just hard to sit down and be focused. So I asked some ladies to help me, and I do a Bible study now. And sometimes that's all I get all week,
Yep.
But it was something small, and they hold me accountable. They show up, and I think that's just kind of with Christianity. We don't have to do this alone.
No. And I want to comment on what you're talking about, but I will in a few minutes. So you're reading ahead. But thank you. Yeah, no, exactly. I mean, having others to help you grow is important, which we'll talk about in a minute. So with this, I have Psalm 76, verse 11, make vows to the Lord your God and fulfill them. It says, let all the neighboring lands bring gifts to one to be feared. But I want to focus on that first part. Make vows to the Lord your God and fulfill them. And there's another thing. We can write those fun little verses or those little powerful statements, put them somewhere we can read it. But if you just sit there and read them, you've done nothing. Stay committed to those ideas that you write down, okay? So step 3 is declaration. Step 4 is determination. Step 4 is determination. Don't allow an exception until the new habit is securely rooted in your life. So I think specifically, so say you leave this class or leave building today and go, yep, I'm going to make this a serious thing in my life. I'm going to take this idea of growth seriously in a few days. Don't allow an exception until the new habit is securely rooted. Yeah, I'm going to start reading my Bible daily, probably next week. Like, don't do that. Don't do that. Start now. Start strong now, so that later, if life happens, I'll get back to it tomorrow. Start strong first. If you make a commitment of growth, start strong first. Continuity and success at the start is essential. And I mean, this goes for any sort of habit we're trying to develop. Getting into the gym, eating healthy. Starting strong first and making that habitual first is going to benefit you the most. The act of yielding, so giving in, weakens the will and reinforces a lack of self-control. Again, if you slip up, mess up, that doesn't mean you're a weak-willed person. That's not what we're saying, but making sure that you can start strong first will reinforce that strength, will make you stronger as time goes on, when things later down the road get more difficult. So starting strong first is super, super, super important. Any comments, any thoughts? Yeah, Steve.
Kind of going along with the idea of determination. Paul in 1 Corinthians 9:25, every athlete exercises self-control in all things.
Yeah.
So the idea that with this determination is, I hate the adjective, but I'm going to use it, holistically. You're applying this to every part of your life.
Yeah.
Say, okay, I'm Bible study, I'm going to be with it, I'm going to be on it every day consistent. I'm not doing that in my work life. I'm not doing that in keeping enough around the house and my everyday chores, things like this. was all-encompassing.
Yeah.
And if you've got the determination to make this is not going to be just when I go to Bible study.
Yeah.
I'm going to become a steady person who does this all the time. If everything in my life is taking that attitude, trying to change that, it's not going to happen overnight.
Yeah.
But if you can apply it in all things, I think that's a key component of this determination.
Yeah, just making determination a part of your everyday life. That's important. I mean, making sure that you're staying determined and focused in all aspects of your life is going to then and make it part of your mindset for any new thing that you attempt. That's great. Yeah.
Kind of coupling with your step of decisions, you mentioned, you started about, the fact that the younger end of this age group has experienced a lot of change, and it doesn't ever stop.
No.
But this is your, not patronizing word, but this is your first exposure to constant change, really.
Yeah.
So if you can develop those habits of Bible study and prayer and all that, like your first point, don't allow exceptions, so the new habit is to get that habit now while you're so busy, whether it's college,
Yeah.
a new job, or whatever. Start that habit right in the middle of it, so it becomes just who you are.
Yeah.
And I mean, that's how that continuity happens.
Yeah. And again, the focus here is being strong at first. Again, the goal is you stay strong and committed and focused, and you're repetitive often, all the time, but especially at the beginning when things are maybe the most challenging, when things are the most new, is staying focused. It says it takes 3 weeks to become comfortable with a new habit, and it takes another 3 to 4 weeks of daily repetition for it to become a true part of your life. I mean, it's a long time, but the way the world works these days, it's not that long. I mean, it seems like that amount of time goes by like that. So it does take time, though. It does take focus, and it does take you've got to just want to do it. You've got to be determined, okay? And then the extra thing that I have here is this quote from Winston Churchill that I thought was great. Never give in. Never give in. Never, 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 never. In nothing, great or small, large or petty, never give in except to convictions of honor and good sense. Never yield to force. Never yield to the apparently overwhelming might of the enemy. Obviously, this is a wartime quote, but at the same time, I mean, maybe our enemy here is procrastination. Maybe our enemy here is laziness. Maybe our enemy here is fear. So I think this can be very applicable. Mike?
I don't know if I'm missing the point, but in building habits, one thing I've understood is that over time, motivation depletes. Goes up. One thing that is mainly important is building habits.
Yeah.
I've had a lot of days where, I don't feel like doing this. I know I should do it.
Right.
And then either I procrastinate or I don't give it 100%.
Yeah.
Every day you're not going to give 50%. You can either give 50, 70, 30. But
Yeah.
going up and staying consistent, that's going to grow over time.
Right. And I don't think you're missing the point at all. You're exactly right. What this is saying is bite the bullet and do the thing as often as possible at the beginning so that later, when you don't feel as into it, it's already so much a part of your life that you do it anyway because you're used to it. I think that's kind of what this is saying. But you're exactly right. Okay, so we got to keep going. So step 4 is determination. Step 5 is just do it. Okay? It kind of seems silly, but follow the urge to reinforce your habit. This kind of ties also with the step 1 of desire. It's the feeling, okay? Feelings don't always last, so take advantage of them when they're there. For example, one of the things I've always wanted to do is write some sort of fantasy novel. That's something I've always wanted to do. It's one of my dreams. And sometimes I'll be not even near a laptop, and I'll be like, ooh, I have a cool idea. That would be so cool. And then I go and sit down, and yeah, I'm good. Or sometimes I'll have a laptop with me with the desire, and that's when I need to really take advantage of that feeling, of that want, of that desire, and start doing something. And that can apply for anything. Feelings of growth, like you're wanting to grow, you want to get better. They don't always last. Life happens, and sometimes you don't want to feel. I mean, you don't feel like you want to grow. So take advantage of the feelings when they last, when they're there. And I had to include this as my extra. I mean, I had to include that. I mean, just do it. This is the goofiest thing ever, but there is also, if you've ever seen this is the actor Shia LaBeouf just screaming, "Just do it" at the viewer. It's goofy and it's silly, but there's also a slight aspect to it. I'm like, all right, yeah, I will do it. Like there's a slight aspect of it that is kind of motivational, even though it's been memed like crazy. But if you have feelings of wanting to do something that's going to benefit you, take advantage of those feelings while they're there, because they don't always last. That's kind of what this is getting at. Okay, any thoughts, comments, questions? Yes? Yeah.
Especially in the spiritual aspect of it, the longer we wait to do said thing,
Yes.
you're going to have time to talk yourself out of it.
Yeah.
And especially when it comes to spiritual growth, there's someone who's very invested in keeping you from growing.
Right.
And he's going to be throwing everything possible
Right.
at you to stop you. So
Right.
the longer you wait, the less likely you are to actually do it.
Right. Laziness, fear, all these different things. Yes? Okay.
Another important thing is understanding your why.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just challenge your mind.
Yeah.
And then you're most likely to want to do it.
Right, and that goes back to step one, desire. You've got to know why you want to do this. Like, why do you want to grow? You don't just want to grow for the sake of growing. You got to know why you want to grow. Well, to be closer to God, to be more prepared to go out into this world. You've got to understand the why. Why am I even wanting to do this? Step 6, back to what was said earlier, is double up. Okay, step 6, double up. Get a partner, get a group of friends, get somebody who will support you and encourage you, because you can't do this alone. Sorry, you can't. You may think you can, you can't. Accountability, especially in the early days of a new habit, is so critical. Accountability with yourself, but you can often deceive yourself. You can always fail yourself, or often fail yourself. So get somebody else who can encourage you, who can support you in growing as a Christian. Okay? And often, because of that, mutual growth takes place. Iron sharpens iron. Okay? You may get someone and say, "Hey, I'm leaning on you here. I'm asking you to kind of help me grow, keep me focused." Wow. And then someone may say, "Okay, yeah." It may turn out that they too grow because of that relationship. Any thoughts about that? Any thoughts on that? Yeah.
Sometimes the hardest thing to do is just get started.
Yeah.
Once you get started, you get momentum.
Uh-huh.
And it's way easier to keep going.
Right. Yeah. And so I think having someone to push you along, I mean, I know for me, like if I want to grow as a Christian, the best way for me to grow is for someone, metaphorically or literally, to just be like, "Hey, grow, idiot." I mean, that would work for me, because it may go, "Oh yeah, okay, yeah." Like, that's what I need. I mean, I need someone to, like, especially to, if I'm talking specifically about spiritual growth, I know how my job is. I know I get home from my job and I'm tired, and the only thing I want to do is just stare off into space and do nothing. But that is not me. That's not me fully showing that I want to grow as a Christian. So I need someone to say, "Hey, buddy, hello, do the thing." And that is going to help me. It may look differently for all of us, but getting someone that can be that support and that encouragement for us is so huge. And of course, to go along with this, Hebrews chapter 10, verses 24 through 25 says, "And let us consider how we may spur one another on toward love and good deeds, not giving up meeting together as some are in the habit of doing, but encouraging one another. And all the more as you see the day approaching." Okay? Be there for each other. Be there for each other. And then Ecclesiastes 4, verses 9 through 10, very classic, very standard verse for this idea. 2 are better than 1 because they have a good return for their labor. If either one of them falls down, one can help the other up, but pity anyone who falls and has no one to help them up. Like you can fail yourself, especially when it comes to growing as a Christian. You can do that. The chances of you failing go down exponentially if you have someone else as your support system. Get that somebody. Spouse, best friend, boyfriend, girlfriend, somebody. Make sure that they can keep you afloat. Okay? Because you need that. Because you can't do it alone. You can't. And finally, step 7 before we close out today is depend on God's power. Rely on God's power to help you establish the habit. And I know we say often, just and I used to do this when I would teach teens class. I'd be like, we got to just rely on God. And then I'd ask them, what does that mean? And they go, what does it mean to depend on God's power? Well, there are ways to do that. There are ways to depend on God's power. Be in the Word and open your Bible often. Get that wisdom. I mean, it's right here for you. You sit here and go, yeah, I'd love to grow as a Christian. And by the way, I'm talking to myself again. That's what I said. This lesson was aimed at me, so sometimes it's feeling weird being up here teaching it because it's totally aimed at me. Be in the Word and open your Bible. That's how you go. Get that knowledge. Spend time with other Christians. Be around God's people. Be around God's people as often as you can. And then last, pray. Pray for that wisdom. Be in communication with God. You want to know how to grow as a Christian? You want to know what it means to depend on God, rely on God? Do these things. Spend time in the Word, spend time with other Christians, and spend time in prayer. Draw closer to God, and He will draw near to you. Passage I have with this is 2 Timothy 1, verse 7. For the Spirit God gave us does not make us timid, but gives us power, love, and self-discipline. You don't have to make excuses. You don't have to make excuses, well, life's busy, and I got things going on, which you all do. Like that's I'm not saying you don't have things to do. I'm not saying life doesn't happen. It's not what I'm saying. But we've got to understand where our priorities are, okay? And again, I'm talking to myself. I'm absolutely talking to myself. I got to get over laziness. I got to get over procrastination. That's what I got to get over. We've got to understand how serious it is to be growing as Christians. So just in conclusion here, as Christians, we've got to make habits to grow. Okay, that's what we were talking about this whole time. As Christians, we've got to make habits to grow, but we have to be purposeful and determined. There's got to be meaning behind what we're doing. We've got to want to do this, and we can't grow on our own. We can't grow on our own. Again, you may think that you can. You may think it's possible. It is not. It simply is not. So spend time in the Word. Spend time gaining that knowledge and growing and understanding what God wants from you. Spend time around other Christians. Let iron sharpen iron. Be with those who you'll be spending eternity with while here. And pray. Spend time in conversation with God. Anything else? Sweet. That ended right on time. Okay. Thank you.